All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Now, what do you do if a Nigerian prince asks you for money? And some of you may laugh at that, although for some reason those emails actually do work with a small percentage of people every single day. But I'll grant you that maybe we all know by now that when you get an email from a Nigerian prince, you know it's a scam. So let me throw something else at you. What do you do when you get a call at 1 o'clock in the morning and it's your son? And your son says, Dad, I'm in jail. I need bail money. And it's your son. You hear him. It's his voice. But guess what? It's not. It's a scam. Scammers are getting very intelligent. They're using technology in ways that we haven't seen before. So what do you do? And I want to point out, if you've been scammed, you're not alone. According to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, Canadians have lost more than $300 million to fraud this year. And at a time when seniors are especially being targeted by fraud cases, one organization is testing a pilot project that offers fraud courses for seniors. We go to Eric Ouimet now, a fraud awareness coach with the West Island Mission. Eric, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
What inspired you to do this, Eric?
So, yeah, your introduction was perfect because it's a good indication of what it used to be and what it is now. This year I did a bit of a career path change, and I was looking into, I don't know, there's something about the whole fraud element that really fascinated me. And my daughter ended up going into criminology this year, it sort of got me further down that path. But fraud can be 1,000 different things. So like, okay, what direction is it that I want to go in? And eventually, and literally as I'm having this discussion with myself, I get a spam text. I can't remember what it was, maybe, a Pure Later package or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, well, there's something to this. So I started to research a little bit. I said, like, what kind of resources are there available to people that have questions about this kind of thing? Like, how do I know it's a scam? How do I not know? And there are resources online. There's the CAFC, like you said, but I find it a bit clunky. I find there's available things online, but they're not in person. So I said, what if I started to maybe speak with some people in vulnerable situations and see if the, in-person approach is a bit better. So that's where I went to the West Island Mission and I proposed this. Let's sit down in front of a small group, like a think tank kind of thing, and just have a face-to-face discussion. And I find that the initial impact has been people really reply well when you sit down and discuss it with them, as opposed to just creating, like, the original idea I had was like, what if I go online and I create videos of fraud awareness, but it's impersonal and it's not, it's almost exactly the technique used by these fraudsters now. So I said, let's start a project where you're sitting in front of people and discussing this stuff in person.
So, Eric, listen, what you just said there, right? Like, it seems like everything online right now is rife with those types of scams. And part of me is worried because it sort of seems like we've gone down, the X-Files refrain, like trust no one. But it almost feels like, okay, the text message comes in, it's Pure Later, but it's not Pure Later. The email comes in, it's RBC, but it's not RBC. The phone call comes in, and it's a cell phone company, but it's not actually your cell phone company. So we can't trust anything except for real life, it seems, right? So
we're we're so reliant on all of these apps and technology now that the fraudsters have now weaponized it and our trust in them.
Yeah. And then of course, it's also like almost feels like real life when it's a phone call where someone is using AI and taken voice of someone you love and is trying to scam you that way. So, Eric, how do you protect yourself?
So what I've done is I said I think the best approach to this is a very simple and straightforward approach. And the point you made about having to be skeptical is exactly what I try and stress is ask yourself. Well, the one thing that I'm so deep down this rabbit hole is that I kind of take for granted certain things. Like I automatically assume people understand what the concept of a red flag is. That's one of the first things we discuss. And I basically ask everyone in the room, I'm like, do you know what that means? And for the few groups that I've done it with, I've only had about one or two hands go up. So yeah, I understand what that means. So we sort of walk through that and just say, okay, a red flag is basically a warning sign. What doesn't look right about this text message? What should you question? And they all have answers. The more interactive it is, they start to understand what that means. They're like, oh, well, it's a area code I don't recognize. Okay, great. That's a red flag. Or it's a text. So I have that approach, and then I call it, I have a 3U system. So it's an unexpected, an unusual, or an urgent. Those are sort of the three keys that will give you an idea that something maybe here isn't quite what it seems.
Repeat those 3U's, Eric. I thought that was so useful. Repeat them again.
So unexpected. So I'll give you a quick example. You receive a text saying, I have there's so many of them. Unexpected is, you have a Purolator package that's sitting in customs. You need to pay a duty on it or something like that, which normally, will set off a red flag. But right now we're in the middle of a postal strike. So maybe you did order something. Like, the thing about this is originally I was going for the elderly or the, that approach. But I said, at any point, anybody can be vulnerable. So in that case, you get an unexpected text. So, okay. Then there's an unusual one, which is usually the romance scams, which is unfortunately some of the biggest ones. And those personally I hate the most because that not only hurts people financially, but it hurts the soul. So they kind of, it's an unusual text. It's somebody that says, hello, want to meet for coffee later, or I'm in town this afternoon. They're just trying to create a dialogue. But the one that I always try and stress the most is an urgent element to it. So, but again, we'll go back to the package one where it says, if you don't reply or send an e-transfer to this, your package will be returned to sender, or, there's some sort of urgency. So they're forcing you to make a decision with your heart, not your head.
Yeah. Revenue Canada, we're sending the cops now. This is now.
Exactly.
Right.
Or to your point, the phone calls where it's somebody that you love. It may not be sometimes it's AI. That's a bit more complicated to explain in a group. But just to be like, okay, if somebody's calling you with urgency, maybe just, we discuss tactics on how you can approach that and just say, okay, we have code words that you can use as a family, or can I call you right back? Or just, there's certain things that we can go over, but brainstorming it in a group session is very effective.
Eric Ouimet is with us, and we're wrapping up with Eric from the West Island Mission. He's the fraud awareness coach there. So our listeners want to know, Eric, as we wrap up this interview, how do they participate? How do they participate in what you're doing at the West Island Mission?
So right now I've done a few of them. It's still, it's almost like a workshop still, because I'm trying to figure out how to best approach it. What's the appropriate length for these courses? And I've made them super interactive, because if I just sit up there and lecture for an hour, then I kind of lose everyone in the room. So the key is just interactive courses. So I'm trying to grow these into groups where I can meet with, ideally with the city, get something involved. I can go sit in with some, seniors' residences, anything like that. That's kind of my goal as I grow this, and then see where it goes. But I really believe in the face-to-face approach. So you can reach me my best way right now. I'm still working on the website and all that, but I'm available on LinkedIn under my name, Eric Ouimet, Ouimet. And I'm trying to grow this and get initially just with some feedback back and forth to see what connects with people, and grow it from there.
Okay, gotcha. And so you think you'll be doing more, and you'll be doing more of these sessions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking for as many as I can get. This is a learning experience for me as much as it is for the people in the course at this point. And the nice thing about this is it's not a set curriculum. I mean, these fraud changes every day. There's a new scam every day. So it's like there's never going to be a lack of anything to discuss. And finding the key to like I was saying, just red flags, because there's always red flags, no matter how complex or the scam can be.
And Eric, I mentioned the West Island Mission, right? So our listeners can also go through them, right, and find out when you plan another session with them?
Yes, of course. It's a big part of my heart, the West Island Mission. I've been involved with them for many years. So it's only natural that I started with them. And that stresses my point that it's not just, seniors that I'm going after. It's just people in vulnerable situations.
Eric, we have to leave it there. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your discussion.
Thank you so much.
That's
all
it.
Right.
Okay, take care. That's Eric Ouimet. He's a fraud awareness coach with the West Island Mission. Ouimet, Ouimet.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.